goes into the selection process? How do you sit down with all the billions of plays out there and billions of musicals and go, okay, these are the 4 or 5 that we're going to present?
Well, of course, being in a tight knit acting community, always you have the actor friends who suggest plays. Go, oh, have you read such and such, or oh, this is a great role for you. You should check it out. So I know scripts get tossed around and borrowed, and each actor and theater person has their own library. So I think a lot of the people on the staff here at the theater do a lot of reading over the year. So I think a lot of suggestions get flown around throughout the year, and finally it's a big collaboration with the whole staff, with people on the board. A lot of times we get calls and requests from seasoned members and people who are familiar with the space that come in, and they'll suggest plays, or they'll say, oh, can you please bring this back? I'd love to see it, or someone that I know would love this, and I want to come and bring them to see it if you guys ever mount it again. So I guess that's primarily basically how it happens.
Very nice. And the season opens in February
Correct.
of next year with David Mamet's play, A Life in the Theater.
Yes.
It's a 2-person show, and it's going to star you and your dad.
Correct.
So talk to me a little bit about that, and kind of has that happened before, where you and your dad have been in a 2-person production?
No, it's the very first time. It would be just me and him on stage. And we were looking for a play to do together, I'd say for the last 5 or 6 years. And the only time we came close to finding something that we liked was the show Red, which I don't know if you're familiar. Mm-hmm. And we tried to get the rights, and there was another theater doing it close by, so we couldn't get the rights at the time. And then a friend of mine suggested A Life in the Theater, and I read it, and it was perfect. I mean, it's really it's about 2 actors who at the beginning of the show meet. One's older, one's younger, and throughout the course of the play, there's a time lapse where you see little vignettes of the plays that they're doing and working on, getting to know each other more, and it's very much the older actor passing the torch and teaching the younger actor, and then over the course of the play, the scales start to tip a little bit, and the younger actor starts to get a little more heat, and the older actor starts to kind of become maybe a little resentful or a little jealous. Yeah, when I read it, I thought it was perfect, and I showed it to my father, and he said, yes, this is the one we've been waiting for. So,
is it a little bit art imitating life? A little bit? I mean, I haven't read the script, so I don't know what goes on in the script, but kind of this idea of the older generation kind of passing the torch down to the younger generation.
Well, sure, yeah, I think there's definitely that metaphorical thing for us, which is nice. But for the most part, yeah, there's other things in there that are just very specific to what goes on backstage that people don't see. There's a lovely moment where they're backstage about to go on. The younger actor stops and goes, my line, what's my line? And they're trying to figure out the line, and they're running out of time before he runs on, which doesn't happen all the time in theater, but something I think every actor can identify
experiences
with. Yeah, exactly.
Then after the David Mamet play, after A Life in the Theater, you've got the musical Godspell of good stock and Dracula.
Yes.
And Dracula is kind of coming back by popular demand. So tell me a little bit, tell me about all the shows, but then talk to me a little bit about Dracula and the production. I saw pictures from the last time you guys mounted this production on Facebook. It looks a little terrifying. So talk to me a little bit about that. And are you going to take on the role of Dracula again?
Yeah, I think that's the idea. Well, I played Dracula, I think it's been about four years ago. It was the very first time I did it. And that was at Temple Theater in Sanford. And my father came to see that show and said, well, wow, it'd be great if we could do a production in Raleigh. And he'd actually done his own adaptation back in the 70s where he played Dracula that I've heard a lot of stories about, and I said, well, let's go back and revisit your script. And so he went back, worked on it a little bit to update it, because he hadn't, since he was, I think, in his 20s or 30s, younger than I am now. So yeah, we put it on, and we had a blast and a fantastic cast. and the audience loved it. And I think because we really go for the scares and for those moments where you jump out of your seat. We keep killing him, and he keeps coming back by popular demand. So Van Helsing has to show up and kill him all over again.
Pretty funny. And then Godspell, which is a beloved, I don't want to say classic musical because, it's not that old, but
right.
a beloved musical. And of good stock, which sounds kind of funny, poignant, family, two sisters or three sisters going to Cape Cod after their father passes away. So that sounds like it could be have some funny, poignant moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was one of those shows that I like, and I love to have at least one on a season. That's a character study. It's very much for the actors and for the performers. So it's not a big extravagant production. It's really just it's like I said, just a character study on these girls. But yes, with funny moments, but poignant moments. And something that I like to do because a play like that brings in talent and people who go, oh, I really want to do this show.
So next Friday, I saw Deepak is putting on sale tickets for A Christmas Carol,
yes.
And that's such a beloved holiday tradition in this area with your dad as Scrooge. Let's talk about that production. It can audiences, fans expect anything new this year? Every year, do you try to change it up, or is it just kind of the?
Yeah, every year is it changes, and my father likes to say, no, it doesn't just change every year. It changes every night. Well, this year for the first time we're splitting it 50-50. So he'll be doing half the performances, and I'll be doing the other half. So that is one new development to A Christmas Carol this year. But I absolutely love it. It's great, and as we become familiar, switching off doing Scrooge in the past few years, it's just wonderful to come and you sit down, you put on makeup, you do the show, and then it's over, and then the next night your father's in there, and you just be like, tag, you're in, I'll be out there in the audience having my popcorn, knock him dead.
And on top of A Christmas Carol, you have two other holiday shows coming next season.
Yeah.
So talk about those a little bit, because I think people are probably less familiar with those, but they sound very cool.
Oh, they are, and they had great responses from the audience. We're doing Charlie Brown's Christmas, which we did for the first time last year, and we were the first theater with that show to do a sensory-friendly performance for children with special needs and autism, which went exceedingly well, and I think the parents were just so appreciative, and the children had such a wonderful time. And on top of that, the staff here and the cast really had such a wonderful time, especially around the holidays too. That was an amazing feeling, an amazing thing to watch, and kind of break some new territory and some new ground. That it's nice to see that other theaters, not just locally but in the country, are starting to pick up and adopt, which is fantastic. And the second show is Sandland Diary by Dave Sedaris, and Jesse Gephardt has been doing that for years. And Jesse is just hysterical. If you've never seen Sandland Diaries, you have to come and just spend the evening. And I hadn't been able to see that show for years because we're always doing A Christmas Carol. So luckily he got to do an industry night where theater people would come and watch, and I was laughing and cackling so much. And Jesse's great. The show's kind of developed that way where you can break the fourth wall a little bit. I was laughing so much. Jesse finally went, do you like that one, Ira? Do you like that joke? Was that good? I was just...
And he's so talented. He was, audiences may remember him from Significant Other, which was before Big Fish, the last show at Theater Raleigh, and he was phenomenal, so people can see him again in
Jesse's wonderful. And we actually, we did True West not too long ago. Me and him, we did Lee in Austin, and he's actually directing me in the current production we're doing at Theater in the Park. It's only a play, and of course, Jesse emailed me and asked, would you be interested? And I said, Jesse, if you're directing a show in China, I'll be there in a bowl of rice, so don't worry about it.
Well, and I want to talk about the rest of this season, because although you announced next season, you still have a couple of shows coming up. So tell me what's coming up for Theater in the Park the rest of this season.
Right. The next one is a play called It Is Done, which my father just found one of those things where you're reading a whole bunch of different shows, and it's very Twilight Zone-esque, which is why we put it on around the fall and around Halloween. And without giving away too much, it's one of those Twilight Zone episode kind of things where the guy owns the bar in the middle of the, desert, in the middle of nowhere, and the stranger walks in, and then the other stranger walks in, and, there's an air of mystery and foreboding and what's going to happen, and then there's a huge twist, which I won't ruin for you. Come see the show. But yeah, I read that and thought it was a fantastic choice. I think people will really enjoy that one.
And you have it's the play that goes. What's the after that, or what's the next play? You've got It's Only a Play.
That's the one we're doing now. That's
okay.
The one that Jesse Gephardt's directing.
So that's next.
That's yes. That we're currently in rehearsal for, and of course that's the that's the show where it's almost a play within a play, where I guess you could say noise is off, but instead of the actors working on the production or seeing what goes on backstage, it's the after party of the premiere for the big Broadway show that everyone and their mother has come to see. And it's the playwright and the actress and the director and the critic that all end up in this pit house. And the main theme is the review is about to come out, and it's kind of their nerves of what are they going to say and what's going to happen, and hilarity ensues. It's also one of those things, as I mentioned before, where it's kind of a character study, and you really get to see the differences with all these characters and how they interact. And I think it's a fantastic cast. I'm already having a blast doing it.
So it sounds like you have a lot going on. Where can people find out more about Theater in the Park? Give me your website. I know they can follow you on Facebook at Theater in the Park.
Yes.
But then they can also go to the website to either buy season tickets or buy tickets for the upcoming shows.
Right, well, you already just kind of said it.
Yes, you can go to theaterinthepark.com for more information and ticket sales, or call our box office at 919-831-6936. Operators are standing by.
Well, perfect. Thank you, Iris, so much for joining me, and hopefully people will come down and see this really historic and beautiful facility you have here.
Yes, and if you've never been, please come, and we're indoors. We're theater in the park, but we're in closed theater, so there's air conditioning around this time of year.
Which is important.
Very important.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.